Awesome Chess Blunderer here, and today I have a game played between Rashid Nezhmetdinov and Oleg Chernikov, and this is played in 1962 in Rostov, Russia. So let's see how this game starts. Rashid Nezhmetdinov is white and Oleg Chernikov is black. So he starts off with e4, c5 Sicilian defense, knight f3, knight c6, d4, exchanges, and now he plays g6, the dragon variation, and now knight c3, now bishop c g7, bishop e3, knight f6, bishop c4, castles, and bishop b3, and now Oleg Chernikov decided to go for exchanges. So white takes on g4, queen takes on g4, knight takes on d4, and queen to h4. White is not keen to trade their pieces, so yeah, queen to h4 is played, and queen to a5, pinning the knight here, and castles. And now bishop f6. So the story goes as Oleg Chernikov decides to take a walk, and he thinks about what could happen, and because it's gonna be a drawn game, and he thinks that if Rashid plays like queen h6, then he's gonna go back bishop g7, and then queen will retreat, and he's gonna go for repetition, and he's fine with a draw here. So and if queen g3, then that's an amazing queen sacrifice. Queen takes on c3, pawn takes on b takes on c3, and now knight e2, check, blocking the king and the queen and the king. So king h1, and now knight takes on g3, check, and now h takes on g3. And black would slightly be better here with bishop takes on c3. Black would slightly be better here because of white's pawn structure, but then again, black's pieces are all undeveloped, so the game could go to anyone. It's going to be a pretty drawn game. Rashid spent 45 minutes thinking, and as the story goes, a boy came to Chernikov and he said, "Mister, Rashid sacrifices queen," and then he came back to the table and he saw queen takes on f6. What a splendid move. And now before taking the queen, black plays knight to e2, check, just to discoordinate white's pieces because the knight was lost if he takes. And then now e takes on f6 is played. Now knight c3, so rook e8 is played, and now knight d5, attack going for this pawn, the f6 pawn. Now rook e6, just defends it. So why wouldn't rook take on e4 work? Because of knight takes on f6, and it's gonna fuck the king and the rook, so you do not want that to happen. So yeah, instead you go to defend the f6 pawn. And now bishop d4, just attacking the pawn, putting more pressure. Now king g7, and now rook a d1. Now just developing your rook. Now d6, just preparing to bring the bishop out, and now bishop out, and now rook d3, just going for perhaps a rook lift, perhaps maybe to f3 just to put more pressure on this pawn. And yeah, so bishop d7, and now rook f3, just putting pressure. And now bishop b5, just attacking this rook. But before that, so before doing moving the rook away, white decides to play bishop c3, just kicking the queen away, and the queen retreats to defend the pawn. And now knight takes on f3 is played. And now bishop e2. This is the worst move in this position. Perhaps a better move is to perhaps play rook rook c8 and just go on with the game. And yeah, instead he played bishop e2, and now knight takes on h7. Rashid plays this nice move, beautiful move. What happens if king takes on h7? Well, rook takes on f7 is going to be played, followed by if king goes to g8, then bishop takes on e7. Just perhaps white is just vulnerable to discoveries right now. All the plays, they're all over the. And then, okay, what if king goes to sorry, wrong one. h6. If king goes to h6, then bishop d2 check, king moves down to h5, rook to h7 check, and now king to g4, and now bishop to e6, and this is going to be a checkmate. What a beautiful, but this is not what happened in the game. Instead, Oleg Chernikov saw all these threats and just ignored the knight and moved his king back to g8, and now rook to h3, just protecting this knight perhaps, and now rook to e5 is played. Black is interested to trade this strong dark square bishop for this rook, and he could bring another one into the game, so it doesn't really matter. So, but white isn't interested in trading. He plays f4. Bishop takes on c1, king take f1. I mean, king takes on f1, and now rook c8. And now this is the weirdest move in the game. One of the weirdest move. Bishop to d4. Rashid Nezhmetdinov perhaps has a lot of plans for this bishop, and he fears that black's gonna trade this rook for this bishop. But anyway, it's a really weird plan. Rashid has a nice plan, has some tricks up his sleeve. So so black plays b5, pawn to b5. White plays knight to g5, and now rook to c7. Just the knight to g5 move is threatening the f7 pawn, and if white played something careless like perhaps protecting the pawn from like maybe bishop takes on a7, he's gonna face this dangerous rook to h7 move, and king takes, and now knight takes on f7, and now king moves to perhaps maybe g7, and now takes on queen, and rook takes, and now pawn takes, and this is gonna be a why it's gonna be better because of the bishop pack compared to the rook, compared to the lonely rook, and yeah, two pieces, and white has more pawns, so definitely do not want that to happen. Chernikov defends this with rook to c7. But now anyway, he still sacrificed. Bishop takes on f7, rook takes on f7, now rook to h8, king takes on h8, knight takes on f7, king moves down to h7, knight takes the queen on d8, and rook takes on e4, and knight to c6, defending the bishop, and now rook takes on f4, and now king to e2. And in this position, Oleg Chernikov resigned because look at white. White has two minor pieces compared to one rook, and white has one more pawn than black's. White has 5 pawns compared to black's 4 pawn, and white has 2 pawn islands compared to black's 4 pawn islands. Like all of them are separated. And yeah, this is just a hopeless game for black. I mean, white is much better here, but still, it's gonna be a long game, and black is most likely gonna lose this. So yeah, this is just a beautiful game with